Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the Carbootcrafter. Are you like me? Are you fed up of hoarding your 6x6 paper stacks? So I'm going to share with you one of my favourite stash busting projects. You'll need two pieces of 6x6 card. It doesn't have to be double-sided, don't have to be anything special, and you can use paper or card, up to you. But what we're going to make is, this was a project I used to do a lot of a few years ago. And you need two pieces of 6x6 card. And the great thing is that although it's a little box and there's nothing new with that, people really love the little poem that goes with it. Let me read it to you. This is a special gift that you can never see. The reason it's so special is it's just from me. Whenever you are lonely or even feeling blue, you'll only have to hold this gift and know I think of you. You can never unwrap it. Please leave the ribbon tied. Just hold the box to your heart. It's filled with love inside. I'll put a copy of that in the description box below if you want to try this project. But I really love it, and I know it sells really well at things like bazaars, whether that's summer or Christmas or even school fetes and things like that. So I'm going to show you how I do it, and this is one I've just done today. Tag's a little bit bigger on this one, just because you can see it a little bit, so people can see it a little bit easier. Let me pop them to one side and I'll show you how we do it. It's also good if, like me, you've got tons of these paper flowers to decorate the top. So let me put them away. So you'll need your two pieces of 6x6. With this project, it's best to make sure that they are the same size. You know, sometimes you can get a paper pack and it says 6x6, but in actuality it's something like 5 3/4. But it doesn't matter what size they are. You could do this with 12x12s because there's no measuring involved. But do make sure that you use two of the same size. Okay, so this is going to be my bottom and this one's going to be my top, and that is important, and I'll show you why in a bit. Let me put the top one to one side and we'll work on the bottom. Before I do that, I think I'm going to use that as the outside. Now what we have to do is establish the middle of the card. Now normally when I'm batch making these, I'll have a piece of thicker 6x6 card, and I'll have a hole in the middle so I can just put a dot or a mark in the middle of the card. But if you haven't got one of those, or you're not making lots, you know, just giving the project a go, then this is the easiest way to find the middle. So take your corner, take it up and match it up with the other corner. Don't crease along the whole lot. Just bring your finger down and finger crease in about the middle of your card. So we've got a finger crease there. Open it up, turn it, and do exactly the same on that side. So we've got there, so we've got a finger crease in the middle, and then when you look on this side you'll be able to see, let me grab a pen. This is going to be the inside of the box, so it doesn't really matter. And actually, in retrospect, I should have perhaps used a paper that has a white back. But there we go. So hopefully you can see now that's the middle of my card. So I'm going to bring up that point, bring it to the middle, line it up just this side of that point, crease it down. I'm going to get my bone folder in there and give it a good crease. Then I'm going to turn it 180 degrees, so my crease now is at the bottom. I'm going to do exactly the same on this side, just so as I can line these points up as a good point of reference, and then use my bone folder, crease it down. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open that up so you can see. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this edge here in, and I'm going to line it up so that it meets the top of my my point. You do have to sometimes put your finger in to hold that in place, and I think I do it out of habit now, just so that when you do bring it up that your paper doesn't start, because sometimes when you bring it up it wants to do that. So hold that in place, bring it up right up to that point, or as close as you can. The nice thing is this has got some diagonal going across, so that's a good visual for me, and make that crease. Open it out, turn it, so we've worked on this side, just turn it round. This was the side that I got that point going in already. I'm going to do exactly the same on this side, and then I'm going to, once I've done this side, I'm going to do exactly the same on the other two. Oh, that's going on the wonk. I don't know whether that's a Brummie saying, or whether that's something that lots of people use, but that was definitely going on the wonk. So I've done these two sides, so I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do exactly the same on these two. I'm going to bring that into the middle, crease that down, turn it the opposite side. What I want to do is make sure that I'm not going too far over that centre point, because if I do, that kind of throws some of our creases out. So I've got that in the middle, doing that, and then I'm going to bring this in and line it up with that point. Push that one out the way so you can see, line it up, there we go. And that's, see, that one's straighter. And then do exactly the same this side. Fold that back so you can see. There we go. Don't want to go too far. I tend to go just so that I can see the very, very tip of my paper. So there it is, just peeping through, hardly anything at all, but it just means that I'm not going to overlap. So there we go. There we've got all our creases. That's all our creases done and in place. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this template in so you can see. So I'm going to choose, and it doesn't matter because this is equal. This is all exactly the same on all four sides. So I'm going to choose one of my corners. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to cut down. So there's my point. I'm going to cut down past the first crease and stop at the second crease. So I'm just going to, there's one crease and there's the second one, and then once I've done that, this triangle here, so we've got a crease there, so I want to get rid of that triangle, which is that one there. So I'm just going to snip that off. Okay, and then I'm going to come across to this side and I'm going to do exactly the same. Cut down one and to the second crease and stop. Then I've got my triangle here, that point. I'm just going to cut that off along the crease line there, and that then is that done there. Okay, and then, so I've done this side, I'm going to go directly opposite and do exactly the same on this side. So find that crease, this crease here should meet that crease there, so I'm going to go down one to the second one and cut off that triangle there, and exactly the same down this side. So there's my crease there, down one and to the second one, and cut that along that crease line there. So we've cut that triangle off. There we go, and then pop that down, oops, that way round. You can see what's going on there. Okay, so that's my bottom. Let's pop that out the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on these two here, these two sides. So So I'm just going to turn it round so that I can see what I'm doing. It just makes it easier for me. So I'm going to bring in my point and bring it back down. You remember that first fold that we did? So I'm bringing that all the way down. Then I've got these two tabs here. So I'm going to bring those in all the way across. Make sure that they're lining up along there. I'll bring my bone folder in and I'm going to give it some welly and make sure there's a good crisp folds going on there. So I'm concentrating on this one here, and this one here, giving that some good old-fashioned welly. And I'm going to stand that up like that. As you can see, those tabs are staying folded in. Do exactly the same this side and bring that all the way back so that point goes into the middle again. Bring these two in like that. Make sure they're lined up across here, and again give some good old welly and get that crease put down and bring that up. And now we're forming our box. So if I hold that like that, you can see our box starting to emerge. So I'm going to bring this one here. No, I'm going to do this one so you can probably see a little easier. I'm going to bring this one over, and what I want to do is fold it over these two tabs here, because I want to capture these inside my fold. Now you can, if you want to, bring in your glue and put a little bit of glue on here if you want to. I'm not going to bother, because actually this fold holds it all in place all by itself. So I'm holding that in, I'm bringing this piece over, making sure those two tabs are in, bring it over, there we go. Then I'm going to bring my bone folder in, I'm going to stand it on its end, and I'm going to reinforce that fold a bit more there, because it's going to capture two pieces of card. So we've got, if I just bend that back out the way, so we've got this piece of card and we've got that piece as well that we're going over with our larger flap. So again, I'll turn it that way, make sure theirs are in the middle, bring it over, whoops, bring it over, glue it down if you want to, bring it in the middle, get your bone folder in there, crease, reinforce that crease a bit more and tuck that in, and as you can see that holds itself. So that's our bottom. I'm going to do the top, the lid, but the lid has got white sides, so this is going to be easier for you to see hopefully. Again, we need to find the middle. Our folds are exactly the same, but when we come, there's one stage where we do have to take a little bit more notice of what we're doing. So I've gone in the middle, turned it, and now I've got my other points. I'm going to grab my pen again, and I'm going to do that so you can see. I can see quite clearly, so I wouldn't normally do that, but it's just for visual reference. If it helps you, do it, because as you can see it's stuck inside that box. Now this time we're going to bring, now with this one we brought our points in and we lined them up right on that intersection there, didn't we? But I don't want to go all the way to there. I'm going to come back about 1/8 of an inch. Don't worry, don't be bringing it down here, because then our lids will rattle. Take it to the middle, then come back 1/8 of an inch and then crease down. Exactly the same as you did before, but we've come back just ever such a little bit. So turn it round, do exactly the same as this with this side. Line it up with that point, but then bring it back about 1/8 of an inch. You could go smaller if you wanted. If you've got some thinner paper, you could go quite a lot. You could do maybe 1/16 of an inch. So once that's done, we're going to do our second fold exactly the same, and this, the point of the card, the point of my paper is my visual reference. I don't want to bring it in to that line, that crease there. I want to bring it so it comes up to that point. So let's bring that up. There we go. Now I'm going to be a little bit more careful because I haven't got the visual reference of the papers as I did with this one. So crease that down, turn it round. I'm going to fold that out only so that you can see, and bring this one up, and again being very careful to line it up with the point rather than the center crease that we used. There we go. And then exactly the same on these 2 points. So we've worked on these two, and now we're going to work on these two that haven't got any crease marks to them. So and once you get into it, you can, you know, be quite maverick about your folds and start, you know, I'm not even lining that up, I'm just doing all my folds in one go. So I'm going to bring that back in so I've got a point of reference for this side. There we go. So I want to make sure I'm coming back, line those points up but coming back the same amount, and then I'm going to bring this in and do it, fold it over to that point as well. Okay, so now we've got all our creases done, and exactly the same as we did with this one, I'm going to work on my creases down the side there as well. Now some of our creases, if I get my pen, some of our creases that we're working on, they won't join up. Look, you've got a little bit of a gap, and that's because we didn't take it all the way into the center. But if we've got that little bit of a gap, we know we're on track, we know we're working well. So I'm going to grab my scissors, go down. Shall I just give you another visual reference? So there's the line we want to cut, there's my first crease, there's my second crease. So that's where I want to stop. So I'm going to my point there, past the first crease, and stop at the second crease. Now the second crease will be the top or the base of my box. There we go. So I've released that, and then I'm going to cut off that triangle. There we go. So that's that done, and then I'm going to come across to this side and do exactly the same. Follow that crease mark, past the first one, stop at the second one, cut my triangle off, and exactly the same over here. 1, 2, triangle gone, and 1, 2, triangle gone. There we go. And if I bring my template back in, you'll be able to see exactly the same. So except my triangles are a little bit smaller just because we haven't gone right the way to the middle. Okay, and we'll fold it in exactly the same way. So starting with the bigger pieces, I'm going to bring that into the middle. I'm going to bring those 2 flaps in, so those are acting as our tabs for the box, and working those creases so that they all are reinforced so they stay. I'll bring that one in and do exactly the same with those 2. There we go, and reinforce those. Bring those in again if you feel the need. If you want to, you can bring your glue in, put some glue on the tabs, but I'm not going to. I'm going to bring that over, fold it down, get my bone folder and reinforce that crease again, and do exactly the same with this one. Bring it in, fold it over. Oh, the ice cream man's out, how lovely. Bring that over. Whoops, being a little bit caggy handed there. I don't know whether that's a Brummie term either, caggy handed, or whether it might be from my Irish mother. But there you go, and you get, if I pull those back a bit, you can see you get that little bit of a gap between the cards, between those points, but that's fine because that means we're on track, and that should now fit perfectly on top of that one. Ta-da! There we go. Perfect little box. Now, next stage, we need 2 pieces of ribbon. Now, these are 7 inches long, and I'm going to bring my glue gun in for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tiny bit of red liner tape, if I can ever find the end. So I need a piece of red liner tape, and I'm going to, this is just to hold my ribbon on the bottom. So I'm putting that red liner tape on there, push that down a little bit, take that off, and then I'm going to keep my ribbon across there like that. So that's just to hold it while we do the gluing. Okay, so I've done that, and I'm going to grab my other one, another piece of liner tape. Again, finding the end is not the easiest thing in the world. Cut a piece of that off, and that's going to go across. Now that's going to capture that bottom piece, and then it's going to allow me to glue down my next piece of ribbon. So there we go, like that. So we get a nice neat bottom. Bring that over, and I'm going to put a little bit of, get rid of the stand, a little bit of glue in the middle, and I'm going to bring my ribbon across so that that is glued there. A little bit more, and that one over onto the glue. There we go. And then do the same with these. In fact, I think with the sides I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end of the ribbon, just to make life a little bit easier for myself. There we go. And then another piece of glue on there, and then we have that gift box, traditional gift box shape. So that's that done. Okay, now for decorating, I've got some paper roses. Should be another little one somewhere. There it is. So I've got some paper roses. I'm going to pop them on in a minute. I've got a copy of my poem that I've printed out, and I've got, this is like a really nice greeny blue mirror board that I'm going to mount it onto. So I'm just going to, before I mount it onto that, I've got one of these lovely little crocodiles, and I'm going to, this doesn't corner around, this takes that corner off and gives me a tag shape. So I'm going to do that on both of them. So my mirror board, my greeny blue mirror board, is just a fraction bigger than my poem, so it'll fit on quite nicely. So this is where I'm going to bring my glue in. So glue is going to go on here, all the way on across the top of this and down the sides, and then I'm going to glue it to it, and I'm going to pop it to one side so it will dry. Okay, there we go. So that goes on there to dry. There we go. So that will dry there. And I have another piece of ribbon which I've folded in half. Now this is, let me get my ruler so I can tell you. So this is 6.5 inches. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to bring in my hole puncher, and you can use any hole puncher that you've got, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to punch a hole in that like that, and then I'm going to thread through my ribbon. Just very simply thread it through. Oops, this is where it gets fiddly. There we go. Pulled through like that. And I like to, I could just glue that in and leave it like that. But I like to get my it's my old works stapler, and then thread it like that and staple the ribbon. Whoops, let's pop the box to one side. Staple the ribbon at the top, so it's just on the card, it just holds it like that. And then I'm going to, now first of all I need to judge how long I want my ribbon to be, so I'm going to cut a little bit off that. Don't need it quite as long as that, but yeah, it depends on what look you're going for. So I'm going to get some more hot glue, pop that on there, and then pop my ribbon on, and that should then hold it. I might put a little bit under that side as well, just to make sure it holds it properly. There we go. So that's that, and then I can now start messing or playing with my roses. So I'm just going to get some hot glue on the back of these and pop those on. And I'm going to use 3 of the large and 2 of the small. The rule of thumb is odd numbers of things look better to the eye, more pleasing to the eye, which is why I've got 3 of the large and 2 of the small one, because that gives me 5 in total. So just hold on to that one. I don't want to burn myself. I'm notorious for burning myself with a hot glue gun, but I'm sure most of us are. So I'm just going to pop that one there. So there's our roses on, and then these ones I'm just going to have sticking out. I might lay them actually along my tag. So bring that round and push that under there. So there's one. Now see, 4 looks okay, but it's going to be there's just something, yeah. So I'm going to put my 5th one on, and hopefully that gives it a bit more balance on there. So move that ever so slightly, and I want to fit that in there. There we go. So that is my little gift box. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to be making loads of these, because I think I might be selling them at the bazaar this year, or the fair this year. So yeah, I hope you liked it. If you do decide to have a go at making one, do let me know by yeah, tag me in it, because I'd love to see how they turn out. And yeah, oh yes, and the poem, I'll leave a copy in the description box below. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.